One of these jets costs nearly $25 million and forces you to walk in a trench just to get to the bathroom. The other one flies 400 nautical miles less, but sells faster than almost any other jet in history. In 2026, the battle between the Bombardier Challenger 350 and the Gulfstream G280 isn't about luxury, it's about a specific trade-off that most buyers get wrong. If you pick the wrong one, you aren't just losing range, you're losing millions in resale value. We are looking at the two heavyweights of the super-midsize category. These are the jets that do the heavy lifting for Fortune 500 companies, private owners, and charter operators across the United States and Europe. On one side, we have the king of the ramp, the Bombardier Challenger 350. It's the jet that defined the category for a decade. On the other side, we have the performance beast, the Gulfstream G280, a plane that looks like a Gulfstream but was actually born from a very different lineage. Today, we are stripping away the marketing brochure nonsense. We are going to compare them category by category, from the engines and runway performance to the cabin trench war and the real-world operating costs you can expect to pay in 2026. By the end of this video, you will know exactly which super-midsize jet belongs in your hangar. Let's start with the raw numbers, because this is usually where the argument begins. If you're a pilot or you care about getting from New York to London without stopping for fuel, the Gulfstream G280 lands the first punch, and it lands it hard. The G280 is powered by two Honeywell HTF7250G turbofan engines. Each one of these engines pumps out 7,624 pounds of thrust. That is a lot of power for an aircraft of this size. Because of that raw power and a highly aerodynamic wing design, which by the way doesn't have the leading edge slots you see on larger Gulfstreams, the G280 offers a maximum range of 3,600 nautical miles. Now look at the Challenger 350. It uses a similar engine architecture, the Honeywell HTF7350, but it produces slightly less power at 7,323 pounds of thrust per engine. The Challenger's range maxes out at 3,200 nautical miles. On paper, that is a 400 nautical mile difference. In the real world, that gap is massive. That 400 miles is the difference between making it from White Plains to Paris comfortably against a headwind or having to stop in Shannon, Ireland for a tech stop that wastes an hour of your life. If your mission profile involves crossing the Atlantic regularly, the G280 is statistically the safer bet for non-stop capability. Speed also goes to the Gulfstream. The G280 has a maximum operating speed of Mach 0.85, while the Challenger 350 tops out at Mach 0.83. Now, are you going to fly at redline every day? No. Both of these jets are going to cruise comfortably at Mach 0.80 for most missions, but having that extra speed in the G280 allows you to climb faster and power through high-altitude headwinds more effectively. However, there is a number that might surprise you. Usually, the plane that flies further needs more runway to take off, right? Not here. The G280 at sea level in standard conditions requires a takeoff distance of 4,750 feet. The Challenger 350 requires 4,835 feet. It's a tiny difference, less than 100 feet, but it proves that the Gulfstream wing is incredibly efficient. Both jets are absolute beasts at climbing. They can both rocket up to 41,000 or 43,000 feet directly after takeoff, getting you above the airline traffic and the bad weather immediately. So score 1 for Gulfstream on raw performance, but don't close the deal yet because numbers on a page don't tell you how comfortable you'll be for those 7 hours. This is the most controversial part of the comparison. This is where you, as the owner or principal passenger, need to pay attention. The cabin experience in these two aircraft is fundamentally different, and it all comes down to the floor. The Bombardier Challenger 350 is famous for one specific thing, the flat floor. From the moment you walk through the main entry door, past the galley, all the way to the lavatory in the back, the floor is completely flat. There are no steps, no ridges, and no trenches. The cabin width is an impressive 7 feet 2 inches. This makes the cabin feel incredibly wide, spacious, and roomier than it actually is. When you're moving around the cabin, maybe you want to grab a drink from the galley or talk to someone in the divan seats, you have full freedom of movement. It feels like a large jet, just shortened. Now, let's look at the G280. When you look at the spec sheet, you'll see the G280 claims a cabin height of 6 feet 3 inches, which is 3 inches taller than the Challenger's 6 feet. Sounds better, right? Wrong. That height only exists in the dropped aisle. The G280 uses a dropped aisle design, often called a trench, running down the center of the fuselage. The seats sit on a raised platform on the left and right. So while you have great headroom when you're standing exactly in the middle of the plane, the moment you want to sit down, you have to step up. If you want to swivel your seat to talk to your neighbor, your feet might dangle or hit the edge of the trench. If you drop your pen, it falls into the aisle. For many buyers, this is a deal breaker. The G280 cabin width is also tighter at 6 feet 11 inches compared to the Challenger's 7 feet 2 inches. That 3-inch difference in width combined with the dropped aisle makes the Gulfstream feel significantly smaller and more tube-like inside. However, Gulfstream fights back with light. The G280 features 19 glorious, large oval windows, the signature Gulfstream look. They flood the cabin with natural light, making it feel airy and open despite the narrower width. The Challenger 350 has large windows too, but fewer of them. Then there's the altitude. The G280 has a lower cabin altitude. At 45,000 feet, the G280 keeps the cabin pressure at a comfortable 7,000 feet. The Challenger 350 is closer to 7,850 feet. Does that matter? On a long flight, yes. A lower cabin altitude means more oxygen in your blood, which means you arrive feeling less tired and less dehydrated. One final point on the cabin: baggage. The Challenger 350 gives you in-flight access to your luggage. If you need your suit jacket or a different pair of shoes mid-flight, you can just walk back and get them. The luggage compartment is 106 cubic feet. The G280 has a larger luggage compartment at 120 cubic feet, but in many configurations, you cannot access it from the cabin above 40,000 feet easily or at all depending on the specific layout and certification. For ease of use, Bombardier wins the cabin layout, but Gulfstream wins on atmosphere and lighting.
Let's step into the front office. Even if you aren't flying the plane yourself, the technology up here determines your safety and your ability to land in bad weather. The Challenger 350 is equipped with the Collins Aerospace ProLine 21 Advanced Avionics Suite. It features 4 large LCD screens and is known for being rock-solid reliable. It comes with synthetic vision, which gives pilots a 3D view of the terrain outside, even in pitch blackness. It's a pilot favorite because it's intuitive and robust. The Gulfstream G280 uses the Plainview 280 flight deck, which is essentially a modified version of the Rockwell Collins ProLine Fusion. It brings that high-tech Gulfstream philosophy to a smaller airframe. It includes features like HUD, head-up display, and EVS, enhanced vision system, often as standard or highly desired options. This allows pilots to see infrared images of the runway lights through fog or rain before the naked eye can see them. While both are incredibly safe, the G280 generally offers a slightly more advanced technological package out of the box regarding vision systems, which plays into its ability to land in difficult conditions. Remember, the G280 is certified for steep approaches, meaning it can handle tricky airports like London City. The Challenger 350 is also steep approach certified, so both jets can get you into the heart of London, but the G280's automation is slightly superior. Now we get to the part that your CFO cares about: the money. In 2026, the market for these jets has matured. The Challenger 350 has been replaced by the 3500, but the 350 remains the most liquid asset in the super-midsize category. Liquid means easy to sell. Because Bombardier delivered so many Challenger 350s, over 400 of them, the market is active. If you buy a Challenger 350 today, you know that when you want to upgrade in 3 years, there will be a line of buyers waiting. It is the Toyota Camry of private jets, not in terms of luxury, but in terms of reliability and resale ease. The purchase price for a late-model used Challenger 350 in the current market hovers between $18 million and $26 million, depending on the year and hours. The Gulfstream G280 is a different story. It has a smaller fleet size compared to the Challenger series. While it holds its value well because it wears the Gulfstream badge, it can sit on the market slightly longer simply because it is a more niche aircraft due to that cabin design we talked about. Prices are competitive, often trading slightly below a comparable year Challenger 350, offering you a bit more bang for your buck if you prioritize performance over cabin width. Operating costs are surprisingly similar. Both aircraft burn roughly 280 to 300 gallons of fuel per hour depending on how fast you fly. Variable operating costs for both are going to sit in the $3,200 to $3,500 per hour range. However, maintenance is where Bombardier shines. The Challenger 350 is designed with maintenance intervals that are spaced far apart, 600 hours. It is built to fly 800 hours a year without breaking a sweat. Gulfstream support is legendary, arguably the best in the world, but the G280 is a complex machine. When things break on a Gulfstream, the parts pricing reflects the premium brand name. Here is the 2026 reality check.
If you're doing charter work, renting your plane out when you're not using it, the Challenger 350 is the gold standard. Charter customers love the flat floor and the wide cabin. They ask for it by name. The G280 is harder to charter out because the casual flyer feels slightly cramped in the dropped aisle. So which one should you put your money on in 2026? It comes down to two distinct profiles. Profile 1, the Mission Master. If your business requires you to fly from Teterboro to London or from Miami to Seattle and you need to do it non-stop against the wind with full fuel and passengers, buy the Gulfstream G280. It is the hot rod of the class. It flies higher, faster, and further. It handles short runways better and gives you that lower cabin altitude to fight jet lag. You sacrifice some physical comfort in the cabin layout, but you gain the ability to get to your destination without stopping. Profile 2, the Comfort King. If 90% of your flights are under 5 hours, New York to Florida, Los Angeles to Las Vegas, Chicago to Dallas, and you value physical space, buy the Bombardier Challenger 350. The flat floor changes everything. The cabin width makes it feel like a heavy jet. It holds its value better than almost any other plane in the sky, and it's easier to sell when you're done with it. It is the safe, smart, comfortable choice. For me, unless I absolutely need that extra 400 miles of range, the flat floor of the Challenger 350 wins every single time. Walking straight to the lavatory without tripping over a trench is a luxury I'm not willing to give up.